Hello and welcome to the SC1 Factory team call where we go over all you need to know about helping people build their dreams, and by helping them, you get to build your own. What a perfect way to build a business, right? So every single week we record these calls, we put them up on the YouTube channel. It's Team Freedom Reigns on YouTube. You can use the QR code right here on the screen. Go there, subscribe, ring the bell, make sure you get notifications, all the jazz so that you get notified when we upload new content every single week. Plus, would love to have you join us live. The Zoom information is the same every week, and it also is on this slide. All right, so moving into the big announcements for the month of February, we launched Phytopower B and Axio X, and people are already having amazing testimonials. I've been using Axio X since it came out, and actually a little bit before because I was blessed to be able to try it being part of the Field Advisory Board. Well, guys, I got to tell you that I've gone from drinking multiple Axios throughout the day to just having one Axio X in the morning. And I have had that energy that I need, clarity, just sustained throughout the day, guys. So I'm loving Axio X, and I'm waiting for my Phytopower B to get here. But just so you know, it is available now. How does Phytopower B work? It will be rebranded soon to Carb Blocker. That will be the LifeVantage brand. And so what it does is it helps you to be able to have those meals that you normally would feel guilty because of the heavy carbs in them, and yet not have it affect your body like it was before. So what Phytopower B does, it helps to slow the absorptions of the carbs and the sugars that are in those carb-heavy meals so that they don't create the weight gain or the sugar spikes or the things that happen. And so that you can have those meals every once in a while without feeling like you've failed, or that you have to start completely over, whether you're on a new eating plan, a new lifestyle, whatever it is. So think holiday meals. I mean, we've got Valentine's Day coming up. Dondee and I absolutely love to be able to go and have an Italian meal for Valentine's. And guess what that is? Carbs, carbs, and more carbs, right? So we're super excited that our carb block should be here before Valentine's. Think about birthday parties, ice cream, cake, all heavy carbs and sugar, right? Graduations that'll be coming up in just a few months. Just those extra carb meals that you want to have every once in a while. Carb block to the rescue. And as I mentioned before, it is currently Phytopower B until the supply that we have now runs out, and then it will be rebranded to Carb Blocker. If you have not gotten yours, make sure that you get it added to your subscription this month. And then talking about Axio X, I shared a little bit of my story when we first started here. It too is available now. It is for those days that you need that extra energy. Guys, this is a big energy boost. It has 250 milligrams. So corporate has provided us with all kinds of shareables to help people understand which Axio is right for them. And maybe it's something that can really help you too. So when we're talking about Axio and adding in Axio X, it's completely different category. It is not the same ingredients. It's not just adding more caffeine, even though it has a lot more caffeine. It is a completely different formulation. So when we're looking at it, and when you're trying to help one of your prospects or a customer understand which Axio would be right for them, our regular caffeinated Axio has all of that physical energy you need, the mental focus and cognition with the nootropics, and it has 100 milligrams of caffeine. Then Axio Decaf has the physical energy. It also has the mental focus and cognition with the nootropics, and it's good for the afternoon and evening because it does not have the caffeine in it. So there's no added caffeine to our decaf version. And then Axio X. This is the new one that we're talking about. It gives you that physical energy, guaranteed. It gives you that high performance stamina and recovery, and it gives you cellular energy with a microbiome support as part of the ingredients. It does have 250 milligrams. So this past Sunday, I drove down to Tucson after church to get my nails done, and saw my daughter and hung out with my granddaughter for a while. And I wanted to be able to allow them to go out on a date night. And so I needed to stay later. Yeah, I still had to get home because Dondee needed me to take him to take his car in the morning for service. Well, guys, I ended up not leaving until probably about 9 o'clock at night. It's a 2 hour and 15-minute drive. I had one Axio X in the morning before church early, and no other caffeine all day long. Normally, I probably would have drank 3 or 4 Axios. So just think about that when you're thinking about which Axio is right for you. Okay. Now, this is another exciting announcement that they made at the first of the month. We now have a permanent stack that includes P84 and Protandim NRF2 and True Science Liquid Collagen. So it's the Healthy Edge plus True Science Liquid Collagen stack, especially for those of us that were using all these products, and it would be nice to get that extra discount, right? Well, now we're getting 15% savings off of the individual product prices. So the consultant pricing is $316.99. So it can help us save some pennies while we're getting these 3 major activators on our subscription. Plus, more people will purchase this stack when it's put together in combination with the discount than being able to have them do Healthy Edge and then getting them to add in collagen, right? This will just be a much easier upsell with it just being in one package. So that was announced at the first of the month. I actually put it on one of our subscriptions for us here at our house as well. And for those of you that are using MindBody, or for your customers or people that are looking for the P84, or not P84, sorry, for the MindBody, the GLP-1, guys, this is the best sell that we're ever going to see on this, and they have continued it through February. So if you have it on your subscription, keep it there so you can keep that discount and make sure that all your customers or new customers that are looking at the MindBody system and P84 know that they can get this huge discount before the end of February. All right, how many of you that are on here, and which, by the way, I want to thank every single one of you that are on here live with me, because it makes this call so much more fun when I have people on here with me and you get the information firsthand. Plus, just so you guys know that haven't been joining us live and are watching the recordings, we stop the recording and then we have discussion after the fact too. But thank you so much for being on here live with me, and I just want to thank you for that. And I want to know in the comments, are you registered for Momentum Academy? Do you have your hotel? Do you have your flight? It's coming up really fast. It's in April and we're already almost mid-February. How crazy is that, right? So get yourself booked, get yourself registered, get your rooms. You can go through the QR code to get yourself registered for the event. And then, of course, there's all kinds of hotels that are around Planet Hollywood. The actual Planet Hollywood room block is full. So if you didn't get that, it is full, but call them and let them know that you're with us, because they've heard that some people have still got that discounted room price. So try it, right? If not, there's lots of rooms around. So there are going to be 3 different general sessions where you're going to be hearing from executives, you're going to be hearing from C-suite people, and who knows, I think that Steve Fife is going to be at this event, and it would be his last event, and so you want to make sure that you're there to thank him and just to be able to share this time with him before he goes into retirement, welcoming that new grandbaby. It'll be their first, coming soon. So we're super, super excited about that for them. And by that time, we will have a new CEO. And so you want to make sure that you're in the room to hear from the guy that's taken the helm from Steve, because Steve's is working really hard in helping them select the right person to fill his big shoes, figuratively and literally, so that they can take over the good work that he has done. So there's going to be 3 general sessions. There's going to be breakouts, workshops where you'll get to choose what you go and learn. There's also going to be the LifeVantage social gathering that they always do, the big party, team gatherings, and belief building. You don't want to miss this. Leaders are born at events. Leaders are developed at events, right? Leaders are filled back up at events. So don't miss this event in Las Vegas at Planet Hollywood, April 16th through 18th. The whole itinerary is available on the website. So go and look at your replicated website all the way at the bottom in those quick links. So Teresa says she's registered. She heard all rooms are booked. Anyone looking for a roomie? All right, guys. So that is another thing that we can be helping each other with, is rooms, right? Let's get everybody taken care of. So we're going to move right into this week's call. We are in the Atomic Habits book, and we are going to be going over the 4th law of behavior change, to make it satisfying. I mean, how often do we like to do things that are not enjoyable? we kind of put those things off. We procrastinate on those things big time, right? But the things that are enjoyable to us or that we like to do, we do those like this, right? Like clockwork. We don't even think about it because we enjoy it so much that we get out of bed thinking about it, right? And we want to go and do it. So I'm super excited that Dondee has been able to join us so that he can come in here and kind of lead the discussion around this fourth law of behavior change, make it satisfying. So welcome to the call, Dondee Nettles.
Thank you, Marcy. Can you hear me okay?
You can.
Thanks. So this fourth law, what I love most about it is the first three laws. So the first law one was make it, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So the first law is make it obvious. So make it obvious because when it's obvious and it's it's right there in front of you, you make it happen. The second one is make it attractive. So not only is it obvious, but it's something you want to participate in, you want to engage in. And then the last one is make it easy. So kind of remove all the friction as they were talking about. So the first three laws, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, those are about current habits. In other words, helping us set up current habits. But this fourth law, make it satisfying, which is you get the results from the law and from the habit actually sets up future habits. So this one kind of brings all three of the first three previous ones and ensures that we continue to do them into the future because we're actually getting results. It's satisfying to us. We're having a pleasurable experience. And so if you remember in the book, he was talking with the first example when he was in, I think it was Pakistan, and they had a really, really bad personal hygiene issue. There was filth everywhere. There was dirt everywhere. And washing their hands was something that everybody knew was beneficial and even advantageous for you. But what they watched was that some people only wash one hand. Some people don't wash at all, especially when they're handling food. And some of them just run their hands under the water. So there was a great opportunity to bring in the guy to create a pleasurable or fun experience that was satisfying with the soap manufacturer and make the experience from just washing your hands, make it an actual experience that is satisfying. The suds, the aroma, the feeling of your hands. And that carried over into gum. They talked about how gum was just bland before until they put spearmint and peppermint and cinnamon. So you have now a clean mouth experience, which is satisfying. So chewing gum and later Pepsodent. Pepsodent was the first toothpaste that actually put spearmint and peppermint oil and cinnamon into their toothpaste to give you a clean mouth experience. It's not any cleaner than it was before. Your teeth are clean, but your mouth feels clean, so it's more satisfying and it sticks. So the habits that stick are the ones that are satisfying. And this is kind of a culmination. This is almost like a summary slide to begin with. So the fourth law, make it satisfying. So what is immediately rewarding to you is repeated. We repeat what is rewarding and we avoid or stop what is not. We get punished, or if we are punished or what punishes us, we avoid it. And so the brain prioritizes immediate rewards as opposed to delayed rewards. So putting something off and develop habits and commitments and discipline, while all of that's wonderful and it creates habits, if it's not satisfying, in other words, if we're not getting immediate results in the beginning, we tend to not do them. Especially, think about what is it like when it comes to making invite calls. And people talk about the phone weighing 500 pounds. When you're making that very first invite call, it's difficult. The first one is always the hardest. But if you remember in the example in the book about the guy, I forget his name, but he had a jar of 120 paper clips and an empty jar. And when he made a phone call, he would transfer one paper clip to the other because he's getting instantaneous visual realization that he's actually doing something. And as the pile in the one goes down and the pile in the other goes up, it's visually satisfying, so he keeps doing the behavior. The 120th call, I guarantee you, is so much easier than the first call. So when you begin, and the brain reprioritizes immediate rewards. So don't think about the outcome, whether or not they answer, whether or not they say yes, whether or not they're excited, whether or not they are okay with you sending them a video. Just reward yourself that you actually dialed the 7 or 10 digits, depending upon the area code. So that instant reward gives you progress. Progress feels good now, and it reinforces repetitive behavior. That's really the key about making a habit satisfying. So if you can, go to the next slide,
Yeah.
Marcy. So the
Before
whole
we
fourth
go,
law is
before
make
we
it
go
satisfying.
Yeah, before we go on though, this is the whole reason why we encourage you to celebrate all of the small things, right? To be
Right.
able to celebrate every single step along the way towards the big things, the big goals, the big desires that you have. Because if you celebrate the small things, that's going to make your brain feel good. It's going to make you understand, or your brain think, oh, hey, this is awesome. Let's do more of that, right? Where if you wait to only do, a celebration after you've accomplished the big thing, you'll never get to the big thing. So I love how this is laid out and how it reinforces what we've already been telling you anyway. This is third party validation. Love it.
Absolutely. So what I love about ChatGPT is being able to tell it a prompt on what you create an image of. A scale is a balance with now and later, where now is preferential, and it comes up with something like this. I think it's pretty obvious. So because again, the brain rewards instantaneous behavior when it feels rewarding. Again, that satisfying feeling of having peppermint or spearmint or wintergreen or whatever your personal flavor is. It's not the gum that is satisfying. The repetitive up and down chewing motion of your jaw, that's not satisfying. It's the feeling of cleanliness and the satisfying feeling inside your mouth that gets you to do it and repeat it. But immediate rewards beat delayed rewards, but they also set up the pattern. So it's that instant gratification. That's why when you have a brand new person that you've sponsored and you've enrolled, getting their launch done, their first invitations, their first event, whether it's live, in person, one-on-one, in someone's living room, across the coffee table to them, or on Zoom, doesn't matter. What matters is the instantaneous benefit of having reward of getting somebody that they invite on the Zoom in the meeting to get involved in the business. And once they do, it's very, very important. Once somebody joins you, early success is going to anchor in the behavior because it's instant satisfaction. They feel it instantly. It's rewarding to them. And like Marci said, the small wins, even if it's just the very first invite call that someone makes, your brand new person, celebrate that, high five them, make it a big deal, jump up and down and do happy dance the way they do on Seinfeld, just whatever it is, just make it rewarding and make it go over and above. Because when you make it silly, it actually gives you dopamine, it gives you the feel good things in your body, and it actually is setting in and anchoring in a positive reward. And satisfaction locks in that habit. So it's that instant gratification, that very first phone call, that very first invite, that very first meeting, that very first customer that they enroll, that very first consultant that they enroll. And when you can get the brand new people to enroll, get them their first customer or their first consultant, get them their first paycheck. I remember when Darren Jensen was our CEO, we had a contest, I think, or it was kind of a movement and a promotion called the first dollar. And when you can get your brand new consultant their first dollar, that instantaneous reward, that cardinal rule of behavior changes, getting instant gratification and getting results early, it changes everything. For the people in their first 90 days who actually make a paycheck versus the people in their first 90 days who don't make a paycheck, they last 5 times longer in your organization. It's why, and it's right here, it's because the result was satisfying. That fourth law, get them satisfaction and reward yourself. And when you do, and you celebrate your own wins and you celebrate the behaviors, you're anchoring in your future behavior because the satisfaction is really the motivating factor. That satisfaction locks in the habit. Now there is in the next two, so I think it was in chapter 17 when they talked about the benefits of using instant gratification as well as delayed gratification when they were talking about the vacation fund. And I'll get to that one when we get into that chapter, but go ahead. Next slide, Marci, or anything you want to add to this? Okay, thank you. So chapter 16 talks about sticking with good habits every day. And they talk about don't break the chain or don't get your second. So the second, I think, never miss twice. That's what he said. So when you have something that you can see visually, like this calendar, so you got your invite. If you notice there on the 7th, didn't get any invites, but got the follow-ups. And then on the 8th, invite and follow-up. 9th, invite, follow-up. 10th, invite, follow-up. That's what those two X's represent. So once you see a pattern developing, you're gaining momentum, you're gaining confidence, you're gaining certainty. And that is making it more and more satisfying because when you stick with good habits every day, and in fact, that's the only way a habit is built. is sticking with it every day. Progress is deeply satisfying. The visual, again, that paper clip, or the marbles, or the hair clip, or the hair tie, whatever it is for you. I remember when I first got involved in our company, Jason Domingo told me that he had 15 coffee beans, whole coffee beans, in his left pocket. And when he would make an invitation, he'd move one coffee bean from his left pocket over into his right pocket. And it worked well until I forgot to take them out of my pants and it went through the laundry. And then I would imagine that the wash water turned into coffee, and I washed my clothes in coffee because I forgot to take the coffee beans out. So, but you get the idea, the visual, whatever it is for you, that visual representation, that constant anchoring in that habit tracking, the progress early, and the habit tracking proves that success is calendaring. So I love calendaring, and when you can see it, you can see a whole month at a glance. It's repetitive, it's encouraging, it's building a visual cue. It's also anchoring in the confidence that you get for it, and it's showing progress. And then the whole thing, don't break the chain. The longer the X's go simultaneously, the less likely you are to break the habit. And if you do, and you mentioned that, if you do, don't break it twice. I think he said the first break or the first miss is an accident. The second miss is the beginning of a new habit. That was so powerful when I heard him put that. And so the first miss is an accident. The second miss is the beginning of a new habit, or it's casting a vote, usually for the opposite of the person you want to become. He used an example of people when they reward themselves for a good nutrition, that they reward themselves with a cheesecake. Well, that's a vote contrary to the person you want to become by eating in the first place, or eating good in the first place. So that's not a good example. Use a good example. And a visual like this in calendaring, or a checklist, or what alarms in your phone, or whatever it is, that vision casting that you're doing, casting a vote for the person that you want to become, when it's visible like this and you're getting it, you're hitting all the marks and you're making it repetitive, it just encourages you to keep going. And if you break it once, don't break it twice, because you break it once or you miss it once, that's an accident. Things happen, things come up. But if you miss it twice, that's the beginning of a new habit and a vote for the contrary of what you're searching for. And then again, Marci, feel free to jump in and everything.
Yeah, that's so good. And I would actually say it's like using multiples of these. This is what I do. I mean, I have my calendar right here in front of me. I have my calendar on my phone. I love checklists. I know Dondee loves checklists. Yet one of the things that has been really helpful, specifically, I mean, with Dondee, is having alarms, right? Having those alarms that help you have that reinforcement as well. So good. And I'm like, what kind of a tracker do I want to use that's a visual, physical touch type thing that will help me have that momentum as well? Because I love the idea of the paper clips, all that kind of stuff. I just don't need another thing on my desk, but I love
Right.
that idea. So good.
And speaking, and I'm glad you brought it up, so I'll just disclose this and out myself publicly on the alarms thing. So every day I set an alarm in my phone for 1:43 p.m. 1:43 because it's 1:43 is I love you. So 1 is I, 4, there's 4 letters in love, and there's 3 letters in you. So 1:43. But Marci, I have to apologize to you because the alarms are still going off. But when they go off, I have to hit snooze. Hopefully I can get to it, but I'm with patience. So the reason I'm not texting you the way I normally would at 1:43 the last couple of days is because I've been with patience at that time. So it's not that I'm forgetting. I'm actually there. I'm just with patience, and so I can't do that. So there you go. That's the reason. But now on to chapter 27. Okay, or on to chapter 17, rather. Accountability. This is so important. When you have accountability, you have an immediate cost. In other words, you've got an investment. You've got skin in the game because you are committing to someone else. And I think the greatest example I ever saw of this, I was at a chiropractic seminar, probably 2,000 to 3,000 chiropractors. And there was a guy that was one of the guest speakers. If you guys remember the guy that we had at one of the Elite or Momentum Academies, I don't remember what we called it back then, but he was the wrestler from ASU, the guy that was born with only one leg. And he became the national champion with only one leg, beating all the other guys in his weight class that had two legs. So the whole thing about that is that constant reinforcement and accountability. So when he was moving his way up, he was accountable to himself. And if you saw the movie that came along with it, he was accountable to his mom because his mom was in a bad relationship. And so he was not only doing it for himself, but he was doing it for his mom. But like that guy, when he went through, there was a professional jump rope guy at this chiropractic conference that I was in. And he was the keynote speaker, just like when we had the guy with one leg, the wrestler, at our keynote speaker at Life Vantage. But this guy was a professional jump rope guy, and he was an awesome speaker. But he said, "Hey, who in here has never jumped rope?" And a couple of people raised their hands, and he said, "Come up here." So one of the guys went up on stage, and he says, "Who is actually really good at jumping rope?" And a bunch of people, we got 10 people from the audience that were really good up on stage and put them into a down position of a push-up. And then he said, okay, the guy who'd never jumped rope, he gave him some tips. He was kind of whispering some tips in his ear, gave him a jump rope, showed him how to hold it. He knew how to hold it because he knew what it was. He just never used one. And so he was putting this guy accountable, the guy who never jumped rope. He instantly made him accountable to the other 10. And that if he messed up, those 10 would do push-ups. And so he had this obligation. He had skin in the game. So he wasn't just learning to jump rope. He was learning to jump rope in front of 2,000 to 3,000 people, and also 10 people that if he messed up had to do push-ups and suffer pain. So that was the accountability. He had skin in the game. It cost him something. And as a result, we watched the guy who went from never jump roping ever, and it was pretty apparent as he did it the first couple times, to getting some visual or some verbal cues, showing him how to do it, and literally within about 5 minutes, this guy was doing tricks, jump rope. And the people, I think they only got to do about 8 or 10 push-ups or whatever. But when there was somebody who was suffering, in this example, and I'm not saying we want people to suffer, we want to be accountable. So when we have skin in the game and we are accountable to somebody else, we will take our commitment to a whole different level. That social pressure increases our consistency, especially if we've got visual cues, especially if we've got calendaring, especially if we're accountable to someone else to do the invites, to do the follow-ups, to do the three-way calls, because we've got more skin in the game. It's costing us something. We've got pressure increasing, and we've got public commitment that raises standards. So when you have an accountability partner and only you and that person know, it's higher than it was when you only were accountable to yourself. But when a group of people know you have an accountability partner and you're each accountable, you've got accountability to the people and you've got accountability to the public, and it keeps raising it up. And when you're being watched, it changes behavior. When people know that they're being, how do we know? When you see a cop in the center divider of a freeway, you don't speed. It's when you rush past them because you're distracted. Then you see them as you're passing them. You didn't see them in advance, and you see the lights flashing, you're getting yourself a ticket. But if you can see them in advance and the accountability is there, the pressure is there, then actually being watched changes it because you know they've got that radar gun pointed at you. So being watched changes your behavior, and partners accelerate your success. It is so significant. So if you don't have an accountability partner, I would highly encourage you to get one, be accountable to yourselves, and discuss in advance what you're wanting to hold yourselves accountable for, and then do stuff like this. Send yourself a text. This one says, did you get all your invites and your follow-ups done today? And yes, and I had a three-way call on the comp plan. How about you? I've got my laptop on my front windshield because I can't see the size of this on my phone. So when you can do that kind of thing, you don't have to be in person and doing this kind of a thing. Or another way you could have accountable, I do this with a guy every day. I send a text to him encouraging him every day. And we're not accountable. I'm accountable to him. He's not accountable to me. But that's the things when you can do something in public and you have extra skin in the game, you're doing it consistently, the pressure actually increases your likelihood of following through, and the public commitment raises the standards on everything, and that accountability literally changes everything in the game. That's when they were talking about, or what they were talking about in chapter 17. Now, the example that he gave, when a husband and wife were accountable to themselves, and they were talking about the European Vacation Fund, they opened up a checking account or an account in their bank, And every time they did not go out to dinner, they put a $50 deposit in that European vacation fund. So they started being accountable to themselves to not, hey, do you want to go out to eat? You want to go out? They weren't reminding each other, no, they're accountable. When we don't go out to eat, we put $50 in the European vacation fund. And so when you start doing things like that, momentum, accountability to a spouse, a business partner, a teammate, or, to your team, and whatever, however it is, just, I highly encourage you to be accountable. And then anything you want to add, Marcy, feel free.
No, I think you covered it perfectly. I think the accountability partner, and I would actually challenge you guys that are on here live. You guys know what you're focused on. You guys know what's important, and you're really focused on the same things, right? So you guys getting together and being accountability partners would be absolutely perfect. If not, if you have someone else, just as long as you have someone that's helping you stay accountable and you're doing the same for them, just be a good partner, hold up your end, and have integrity in your accountability partnership.
Absolutely. So in summary, this is the summary slide. And so to get to know, don't want to lose track of what's the whole entire purpose why we're reading this book. And that is to just help you develop better habits so that you can get to SC1, or help people get to SC1, because this is the SC1 factory training call. So track your daily SC1 actions, whatever it is for you, getting you closer and closer to that SC1 rank, or your next person, or creating an SC1 factory in your business. Track your habits daily and celebrate the small wins. The very first phone call, the very first meeting, the very first customer, the very first consultant, the very first no, the very first stop calling me or I'm calling the cops, and I'm exaggerating, but whatever it is, reward everything, the small wins and even the small defeats, because the more fun you can make of your defeats, the easier they're going to become. And the more you can realize that defeats and no's are a part of this business, the easier they roll off your back like water off a duck. And then celebrate the small wins, protect your habit streaks, that visual cue, that calendaring, or the paper clips in a jar, or whatever, the check marks on a checklist or a to-do list, whatever it is for you, coffee beans in your pocket, whatever it is, make sure you protect those streaks. And if you miss once, it's an accident. If you miss twice, it's the beginning of a new habit, and you certainly don't want that. And use your accountability partners to increase your public commitment, increase the pressure on you, which is going to increase your consistency and follow through, and then reinforce your progress daily by rewarding yourself, having a structured day, making sure you hit your benchmarks, making sure you hit your marks, making sure you're showing that, celebrating the wins, tracking the actions, protecting your habit streaks, not missing twice, being accountable to yourself and your team. And before you know it, you've got all kinds of habits, because this fourth law in creating atomic habits is to make it satisfying. The more satisfying it is, the more likely and predictable it's going to be a long-term future habit. So if you remember, make it obvious, make it attractive, and make it, what was the third one? Make it easy are about new habits or current habits. When you make it satisfying, it is about future habits. And that's what kind of wraps up all of these together. And so whether it's celebrating your consistency with a calendar where you've got all the dates checked off, or you give yourself a trophy, or you work towards something when you hit all 30 days in the month, you reward yourself with something, whatever it is, make it fun.
And that brings us to our final week in our review of James Clear's Atomic Habits book. Next week, we will be going over the advanced tactics, how to go from being merely good to being truly great. As Dondee mentioned, we haven't just been spending this time together just to have filler for the calls. This has been intentional, and we hope that you've been taking it seriously and been creating these new micro habits, these atomic habits that then can stack on top of them to help you become the person that you truly want to be. So we are so glad that you've been here with us, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week.